Hi, my name is Jason.
And I'm Kaylin.
Welcome to What's Your Problem, where we discuss current issues in distance learning and education. I know what you're thinking. Cheating in distance learning again? Are they running out of ideas? You'd be right to notice that we've covered this more than any other in the last 7 seasons. But in light of all the adjustments higher education has endured during the pandemic, this topic, more than any we've covered in previous seasons, has persisted. This time, in addition to providing some helpful solutions to the problem, we're going to try to uncover how and why students continue to make academically dishonest decisions. Bernadette has more.
Ah, yes. I imagine you've heard of a little thing called COVID-19 and the great pivot of 2020. Ready or not, all higher education was dragged into online education in spring 2020. Students and instructors who had never learned or taught online were suddenly forced to adapt to an incredibly steep learning curve. If that wasn't enough pressure, many students and educators had to adapt their home life situations as well. Young college students were sent home from universities. White-collar workers were told to work from home. And suddenly, there wasn't enough internet bandwidth in the world to accommodate this transition while also binging Tiger King on Netflix. So, were we really that surprised to hear academic cheating skyrocketed during this transition? Many students were faced with burnout, and cutting corners meant that there was one less stressful thing that needed to be done. And for many of our students, the fine line between collaboration and cheating was blurred, especially for those who had never experienced an online learning environment. But this brings us to another question. Were students cheating more, or did online environments make it easier to catch cheaters? James Orr, a board member of the International Center for Academic Integrity, said, "Just because there's an increase in reports of academic misconduct doesn't mean that there's more cheating occurring. In the online environment, I think that faculty across the country are more vigilant in looking for academic misconduct. Cheating is an issue that isn't going away anytime soon, or ever." So let's go to Kaylin, who has some ideas on how to prevent academic dishonesty.
Since the pandemic began, students have changed their dishonest ways. Gone to the wayside are days of students peering around someone's shoulder, going to the front of the class to sharpen their pencil while they steal a glance at a peer's desk, or opening multiple tabs in browsers to quickly search for an answer. It's been reported students are using drones to hold notes at eye level or outside their windows, attach notes to their dogs laying near them, practice looking away from their screen to make it look natural, and there are even TikTok videos out there to share inventive ways to cheat in person and online. Even proctored exams aren't stopping students from being academically dishonest. Students strategically place phones after a room check. They have multiple monitors set up to switch between screens, and they have notes taped to screens or to the keyboard. Group chats have become a popular scene at Rutgers University, where grades depend on classmates' performance, so they cheat to get ahead of the curve. Students have also caught on to instructors who reuse exams term after term. A student at McGill University was actually offering help with exams over the phone during the 2020 pivot. Since academic dishonesty will be an issue until the end of time, we should really understand why this happens and get to the root of the problem. What did you find, Jason?
It may surprise you that even today, cheating is not something that is any more common in online courses than in traditional courses. Regardless of where the cheating is happening. The accepted figure is that around 11% of your students overall are cheating in some fashion. And even as virtual learning has taken hold over the years, the rate hasn't changed all that much. So why are they doing it if it's not about modalities? According to Tricia Bertram-Gallant, Director of Academic Integrity at the University of California, San Diego, students are more likely to engage in dishonesty when they're under stress and pressure and when they're in a situation when the norms are unclear and there are temptations and opportunities. The good news is that through strong course design and purposeful teaching, we can minimize these triggers for cheating and in turn reduce the instances of cheating altogether. That being said, understanding these stresses and pressures is the only way to combat these behaviors from their root cause. So what are they? Well, according to David Redinger, professor of psychological science at University of Mary Washington, there are 3 main individual causes for why students decide to cheat. First, students believe success is impossible. In other words, desperation. Not unlike the incomparable Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire, who would resort to some pretty deceptive behaviors to not get caught. Second, students come up with reasons to rationalize the decision to cheat, like everyone's doing it, the instructor doesn't care, or the course expects people to cheat to do well. These are called neutralizing attitudes, and like the psychological theory of cognitive dissonance, students' behaviors and beliefs are not necessarily aligned in cases like these. And third, students' motivation toward education is more about the end grade rather than the value or importance of learning a skill to achieve a goal. We obviously don't have time to get into all the ways to combat these causes, but the first step would be to examine instructional strategies to see if these situations may exist, even implicitly, and if so, adjusting to reduce them. Rediger goes on to say that these academically dishonest behaviors do have applications later in life. Students who cheat in school are more likely to cheat at jobs, cheat in relationships, and cheat in other aspects of society. So helping students make wise choices now will affect the choices they make later in life.
So what can we do to help students make these better decisions? To help answer this question, I sat down with Schoolcraft College's very own Associate Dean of Retention and Student Success, Sharon Christian, to shed some light on how faculty and staff can help encourage students to do better and how learning support services at Schoolcraft can help with this. Thank you for joining us today, Sharon.
Thank you for having me.
As the Director of Learning Support Services, you have a wealth of knowledge related to helping students achieve their academic goals. Since some faculty may not be familiar, could you tell us about Learning Support Services and how the department supports students with academic integrity?
Learning Support Services is a department at Schoolcraft College that supports students with their academics. We provide peer tutoring and mentorship. We also provide academic success coaching. We meet with students one-on-one or in a group setting, and we also offer remote and in-person support for students in a variety of different ways. The way that we come in contact with students in terms of academic integrity is we provide students with success strategies that support them to be prepared for their assessments and to have healthy study habits. So there are a couple of ways that we do this. On the student side, we also have student employment in our department. So we train our student employees that work with these students. So for example, tutors, our peer mentors, they are trained on something called the Socratic method. This is a questioning technique that allows the students to arrive at their own answers. So we don't provide them the answers, but they're able to critically think and arrive at their own answers. So this not only builds the confidence for the student, but they also are able to feel more prepared for their classes and also use those strategies in other classes in the future. We also offer academic success coaching specifically for mathematics, writing, and English. And so why this pertains to academic integrity is those coaches support students with success strategies as well as in writing for specific support with citations for their written assignments and how to properly cite. Other ways that we also provide this support for academic integrity is our student employees, when they're working with students, they are well knowledgeable on the Student Code of Conduct. Because we work with academics and assignments, we have to be mindful about those policies as well as educate students as well that we follow the academic Code of Conduct. And then, of course, we also provide resources such as the citations like MLA, APA, as well as we visit classrooms to provide this information as well. So we do in-classroom workshops and presentations on these topics. Lastly, we do have students that come in contact with us once they might have plagiarized or once academic integrity for maybe a written assignment wasn't met. And so our wonderful colleagues over at Student Relations will connect with us and we will be able to provide the resources the students need.
So how can faculty, staff, and students help in the efforts to reduce academic dishonesty?
This is a question with several answers. So if you are a faculty or staff, first and foremost, educating students on what plagiarism is, why it's wrong, how to avoid it, resources on avoiding it and learning about it, as well as talking to students about academic integrity as a transferable skill that also could be transferred to the workplace or to your life in general, because academic integrity is a part of integrity, and we as humans take integrity very seriously. And so that is also an important part of integrity, because the habits that you build right now also follow you as you go. So having those critical conversations with students early when they're starting college or when they're starting their classes is critical. For peers and students, it's important to, for example, our student employees, they are the model student, right? We often call them the model student. So modeling that behavior themselves is also really important. Lastly, I would say setting expectations, right? And that too, again, early. Saying that this is what academic integrity is, this is what would violate academic integrity, and being clear about it, and maybe even providing examples as to how one could follow or violate those policies early on. That would be very critical as well.
Okay. And then how can faculty, staff, and students be more involved with learning support services at the college?
Stop by anytime. Learning Support Services is located in Bradner Library. That's where we're here today. And also contact us on our website or call us. We love partnering with our faculty and our staff. We collaborate with a variety of folks across campus, as well as students. So if students are looking for opportunities to advance their skills in their academics, or if they're looking for student employment, or both, we would be happy to connect them.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining me today and sharing what Learning Support Services can do to help faculty and students be successful. And remember, they're located in Bradner Library.
Academic dishonesty is a topic that's here to stay. Today, we covered how cheating probably didn't increase as much as you thought it did during the pandemic, explored why many students turn to cheating, some of the more creative ways students use technology to cheat, and ways to support our students so they feel like they don't have to cheat. We want our students to leave with the content and skills they'll need to move them further towards their goals. Instead of spending our energy on gotcha moments, wouldn't we rather cheer them on and proudly proclaim, "You got it"?
What's Your Problem wants to hear from you. If you have an idea you'd like us to discuss in a future episode, or if you just want to drop us a line, send us an email or follow us on Twitter.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
What's your problem? What's your problem?